Bob, are you muted?
You muted everybody.
Yes, he is muted.
Announcement is made that adequate notice of this meeting has been given and that is being conducted in accordance with NJSA 10:4-6 of the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act. This meeting can be accessed by using the following WebEx link, pth.webex.com/pth/onstage/g.php. I can't. It doesn't make any sense for me to read this. All right. We will dispense with the Pledge of Allegiance, but we'll keep in mind that the United States is a great country, and I hope we can continue to exist. Okay, any members of the public that have any business to be brought to this board that is not on this evening's agenda? Any hands?
There are no hands raised.
Okay, resolutions. We have 3 resolutions. Can they all be? Are they all? Can they all be moved in jointly? No.
No, just one, resolution 2101, Karani, 3 Battle Ridge.
Is that the only resolution we have to pass?
Yes,
Yes.
What about the other 2?
not ready yet.
Not ready yet, okay. We'll
Karani,
just list it.
Somebody move Harish Karani.
Mr. Chairman, I move we accept a resolution to case 2101, Harish Karani, 3 Battle Ridge Road, block 15.8, lot 34, in the R1M zone, for granting a C variance to construct and install a basketball court, a above-ground pool, and a hot tub, contrary to sections 430-35, columns 8 and 13, subject to the conditions set forth in the resolution.
There a second?
Jaskowitz.
Any discussion? Nora, call the roll.
Berkowitz,
Yes.
Jaskowitz,
Yes.
Kaplan,
Yes.
Parikh,
Yes.
Prasad,
Yes.
Willens.
Yes.
Passes.
Hey, Nora.
Yes.
Nora, I just realized we didn't call the roll.
Nope. Mr. Berkowitz,
Here.
Mr. Jaskowitz,
Here.
Mr. Kaplan,
Here.
Mr. Parikh,
Here.
Mr. Prasad,
Here.
Ms. Snyder. Here. Mr. Willens,
Yes.
Chairman Irakane.
Present.
We also have with us our board attorney, Mr. King, our board planner, Mr. Chadwick, and our board engineer, Mr. Holloway.
Okay, we can go into, do we have any other correspondence we have to worry about? I don't see anything.
No.
Okay, let's go into the applications and the agenda. Rick and Terry Newman, 10 El Rey Road, block 166, lot 69. C variance to construct additions, a shed, and install a generator. The applicant here?
Yes, good evening, everyone.
Ma'am, could you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before the board is true so help you God?
Yes, I do.
And you will be the only person providing testimony tonight on this application?
I have my husband here also.
Is he going to provide testimony?
Yes.
Okay, raise your right hand. You swear affirm testimony you're about to give before the board is true so help you God?
I do.
And you're the owner of the subject properties?
Yes.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The witnesses are sworn.
Okay, so we have an application. You want to put a 1-story addition, another 1-story addition, a shed, a generator, and a patio. You need a building coverage variance where 15 is allowed, 18.12 is existing, and 21.34 is proposed. You have impervious coverage 28.8, allowed 30, and you're proposing 31.96. You have, you're in an R3 zone, and I'm just looking for the particulars here. You have a conforming lot, 15,363, but it looks like it's a little odd shaped. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Kind of
Yes,
on a curve?
yes.
Okay, so why don't you tell us what you'd like to do and why you'd like to do it?
Well, we're new to town. We bought the house in December. And,
Welcome.
thank you. And it's, we didn't know the lot size was so strange until we had the survey done, and then we were kind of already under contract and into it. So what we'd like to do is to put a generator, an automatic generator, a shed, and we'll do a 3-season room off the back and a patio, if that's okay with everybody.
And then also a 1-story bedroom addition, is that true?
No, I think we're thinking about maybe not doing that.
But you want to ask for the variance anyway, in case you decide you want to do it?
Well, if it causes us not to get the variance, no. If we can get the variance without it, yes.
Okay, so it's a relatively de minimis request. And let me describe your house to me. So one and a half story frame dwelling. What style of house is that?
It's an expanded ranch, so everything is
Okay.
on one floor, 3 bedrooms, 2.5
Okay.
baths. And then
Okay.
up above the bedroom area on the first floor is a small second addition that has 2 bedrooms and another bath. So it's not a complete 2-story.
Okay. And you're not requesting any side yard setbacks or rear yard setbacks. You're going to put the shed in a place that makes it does not require setback variances. The generator, good investment. I don't know. I don't have any other questions. Do any other members of the board have any questions?
No questions.
No questions from anybody?
No.
Nope.
Or any members of the public have any questions? I'm sorry, somebody talking?
Chairman, this is Casey Parade.
Yes,
I just
Casey.
have one question. Where is the AC unit going? Because I see the AC unit existing right now, but that's where you are doing your patio and porch and other things. So where will be the...
Generator, Casey. It's not an AC unit, it's a generator.
No. There is a AC unit for the house in the existing conditions.
Yes, we don't plan on moving it, but if we did have to move it, is that a concern as long as we stay within our setbacks?
The reason I ask is because you are showing the porch and patio, but I don't see any concrete pad for the AC unit over there.
Well, it's already there. That's how we bought the house.
So is it gonna be in the middle of the patio? Is it gonna be in the middle of the patio?
No, it's up against the house now.
I understand that, but you're proposing a patio approximately where it sits right now. So you're not gonna move the AC unit.
No,
It's gonna stay on the patio.
yes,
Or what will be the patio?
yes.
Can I answer your question, Casey?
That answers my questions, yeah.
Any other questions by the board? Are there any members of the public that have any questions on this application? No hands?
No hands.
No hands? There's nothing else you'd like to add, is there?
No.
Okay. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak in opposition to this application? In support of this application? Hands? No hands?
No hands.
Someone like to make a recommendation?
I will, Mr. Chairman. I intend on voting for it. It improves the functionality of this property, especially in cases of extreme emergency with the generator. And as you stated earlier, it's a de minimis ask, so I'll be voting in favor of it.
Thank you. Volunteer to frame a resolution?
Yeah, sure.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna go.
Go ahead, go right ahead.
Application 21:04, Rick and Terry Newman, 10 El Rey Road, block 166, lot 69, zone R-3. Recommend granting a C variance to construct additions, a shed, and install a generator.
Second, Snyder.
Any discussion? Nora, call the
Yeah,
roll.
right now, before that, you may want to just add one codicil about the additional impervious area. They may have to tie into the existing storm drainage appurtenances or splash pads or something to do not aggravate any adjoining properties.
Does the applicant understand that you have to take into consideration drainage? And that if you're gonna have any problems, you may have to consult an engineer on how the topography of the land, et cetera, goes, okay?
Mr. Chairman, do you want me to just refer this to the town engineer and this would be subject to his requirements, if any at all?
Yes, if
That would be perfect. That would be really helpful.
Okay,
Mr. Holloway thinks that's necessary, definitely.
very good. That's what one of the requirements of the resolution will be.
I
Okay.
have a question. I'm sorry. I have a question. You just said the shed and the generator. What about the 3-season room and the patio?
Who framed the resolution?
The resolution was framed by member Jaskowitz, and I believe he mentioned the addition.
I did.
Yeah, we're granting everything you asked for,
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you.
okay? All right.
Do we get a hold of the engineer or will he contact us?
You should contact him,
Okay. And
okay?
who that is?
No, Nora, you'll give us all that info?
Yeah, the township engineer.
Yes.
Yeah, you have a memo from him. But I can get you the phone. If you want to give me a call tomorrow, I'll give you his number.
Okay. Very good. Thank you.
All right, did we call the roll? I don't remember us calling the roll on this one. Did we call the, no, right? Nora call the roll on this?
Berkowitz?
Yes.
Jaskowitz?
Yes.
Kaplan?
Yes.
Parikh?
Yes.
Prasad? Prasad?
Yes.
Snyder?
Yes.
Willens?
Yes.
Hurricane.
Yes. Result is the variance is granted. We'll memorialize this in 2 weeks and you'll be free to proceed. Welcome to Parsippany, and I hope you can spend as many nice years as I have.
Thank you.
Okay, next case. Application 2105, Brian Partington, 36 Clark Place. C variance to legalize a gravel area. The applicant here?
Yeah, I saw him. Sir, could you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before the board is true, so help you God?
I do.
And for the record, you're the owner of the subject property?
Yes, sir.
I see your wife and a cat. Are both of them going to give testimony, or is your wife going to give testimony?
After almost 30 years of marriage, I would not tell her to not open her mouth if she feels she needs to.
Ma'am, if you could raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm? I'm sorry, you can.
I'm gonna cast. I just said, sir.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I said. You don't have to raise it. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before the board is true, so help you God?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Mr. Chairman, both owners of the house are sworn.
Okay, so you're in an R3 zone. Wow. And your property is 13,000. So you're a little substandard for an R3 zone, because R3s are supposed to be 15,000. you, the variances that you need are for impervious coverage. Now, this says gravel. Is the gravel really impervious, or does the rain, the rainwater go through the gravel?
That's for the town to decide, right? I mean, water passes through gravel, so I was surprised that it was counted as impervious coverage, to be honest. But apparently, the township does consider it impervious coverage.
I understand that the rules say that it is impervious. What I'm asking you is, does it appear that the water runs off this gravel place, or more or less penetrates the area?
It penetrates it.
Is it pea gravel or like larger gravel?
It's what, 3/4 inch, I think.
John Chadwick, help me out here a little bit.
It's a driveway, so I would
Why
think.
don't we-
that with the
why don't we ask-
vehicles-
What do you use
Mr.
it
Holloway,
for?
I would
Mr.
think
Holloway.
with the vehicles compacting it all the time, it would be more and more impervious as time goes by. It fills in and gets, unless it's redone every so often, it's can be considered impervious in the long run.
We don't.
Driveway or a
actually
walkway
park
around the
any
pool?
vehicles. It's just going around the pool. We don't really park any vehicles on it unless we're bringing up mulch to unload for the gardens or something like that. It's not a normal driveway.
Was it,
actually have a
four-car House?
driveway.
was it there when you got the house?
No,
You put it in?
correct.
And what was the,
I'm sorry?
why did you put it in?
Because we have a swimming pool and it just makes it easier for maintenance to have gravel going around the pool, be able to take the filter out at the end of the season. If it ever needs maintenance, it's easier to get up to it to be able to manage that. It's also used primarily for a seating area. It's got gardens around either side. Like I said, it's really not intended to be a driveway. It's meant to be more of a seating area, recreational area.
You don't normally park cars there.
No, sir.
It's like a big patio around the pool.
Correct.
Okay. Good. So the idea of getting packed down like a normal driveway is not the case. Okay.
Any other
I have
questions
nothing
by the
else.
board?
The only question I have is what brought them here.
How did you end up here?
So, like I said, I didn't realize that we needed a permit for it when we put this gravel in. I guess one of my neighbors took offense to it. Maybe they had a similar situation and figured if what was good for them was good for me. And so a complaint was filed, and so here we sit.
All right. I have no objection.
Any other questions by the board? Any questions by members of the public of these witnesses on the testimony given this evening? Nor any hands?
No hands raised.
There's nothing else you'd like to add, right? You've told us everything, right?
Yep, that's everything.
Any members of the public who wish to speak in opposition to this application, in support of this application?
There are
Any
no
hands?
hands raised.
Someone like to make a recommendation? This is kind of a funky application, but I don't think it's that bad as it sounds. Someone to make a recommendation?
I'm gonna recommend, I'm gonna vote for it. It's de minimis in nature and just legalizing something that's there. And since it's probably not impervious anyway, it really is de minimis.
Frame a resolution?
I
Come on,
will.
don't do that.
Application 2105, Ryan Partington, 36 Clark Place, Block 46, Lot 4, Zone R3, that we grant a C variance legalizing a gravel area near the swimming pool.
Second, Jaskowitz.
Any discussion? Nora, call the roll?
Berkowitz,
Yes.
Jaskowitz,
Yes.
Kaplan,
Yes.
Parikh,
Yes.
Prasad, Snyder,
Yes.
Willens,
Yes.
Ira King.
Yes. The result is the variance is granted. We'll memorialize this in 2 weeks. And obviously, you're just going to need to get your permit. You're not going to have to do anything. So consider it done. Okay?
Thank you
so
very much.
You're welcome. Have a nice evening.
You too.
too.
Thank you.
Okay, application 21:08, Eleanor Douglas, 152 Fox Hill Road. C variance to construct a shed. Is
Miss,
Ms. Douglas?
yes, she is. Miss
There you
Douglas, are you the only person who's going to provide testimony? You have to unmute, ma'am. You just have to press the unmute. Yep, you're unmuted now.
Yes, I'm going to give testimony, and Susan Lewin, my partner, will if required.
Okay, so if you could both raise your right hands. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this board is the truth so help you God?
Yes, yes.
And your partner's name again, I didn't get that.
Susan Lewin, Lewin, as in Nancy.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Mr. Chairman, both witnesses are sworn.
Okay, so you'd like to construct a 8x10 shed. You need yards and court, side yard, 6 is allowed, you're proposing 5. Yards and courts, open deck, looks like a de minimis request there, a de minimis request on building coverage, and not that much of an impervious coverage. And I'm looking at your lot, I'm looking at you're in an R3 zone, first of all, you're in an R3 zone, and you've got a lot that's 6,534 square feet. Normal R3 zone lots are 15,000 square feet. So you're behind the 8 ball before you even think about it. Now, I also looked at your lot, and is your lot very pie-shaped? Is that the way it is?
Yes, it sits in a very awkward position. When you come up to the house, it looks perfectly fine, but then when you look at the plot, you'll see that we have a pie shape that does not allow us very much front. And when they built the overpass for Route 80, we lost most of the front yard, and the State Department of Transportation took most of the side yard. We actually had to buy back Lot 9.
Okay. And where the shed, I see where the shed is going. The shed is kind of going on the left side of the left property line there, and is that the rear of the house? That's the rear of the house. Is that correct?
That's the rear of the house. That's correct.
The front of the house faces Hollywood Road. Is that correct?
No, the front is Fox Hill Road.
Oh, okay. Looks like it faces Hollywood. All right. You need the shed, why? For storage?
Well, for storage, we're 77 and 79. I've been here 47 years as of June 20th, next month. And over the time, we've tried to make the appropriate improvements and so forth. But one of the things we've had difficulty with is finding a place where we wouldn't have to go up and down the stairs, bringing out tools and so forth to try to help take care of the yard and take care of the gardening. Also, the high winds have been an enormous factor, and they cut down the tree. When they came around and did all the electrical pruning for the electrical company, they took down a big tree, and as a result, the winds come whipping through here, and we've lost garbage cans and created a mess and chasing down the street for it. We'd like to be able to secure them inside the shed and put them on wheels and just take them in and out when we needed them.
It's not just our age. It's also I have multiple sclerosis, and there's no way I can go and chase garbage cans.
Yeah.
But if we had a shed and we could put them in the shed, then we wouldn't have to chase them. I can't
So
run.
you just enhanced your request by saying we have medical issues that we're dealing with here also.
Well, many years ago, we put in the handicapped ramp for Susan and for other family members, actually.
Mhm.
So we've already gone that route.
Okay. Any other questions by the board? Any members of the public have any questions? Nora, do we have any hands?
I have no hands.
No hands. There's nothing else you'd like to add, right? We're good? Ms. Douglas, there's nothing else you'd like to add, right?
No, sir.
Okay. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak in opposition to this application, in support of this application? Nora, any hands?
I see no hands.
Okay, someone like to make a recommendation on this one? I know they've been in this request.
Yeah, this is the newest in nature, and being that there's a medical issue, I will absolutely be voting for it.
Thank you.
Someone frame a resolution, please?
I will, in application 2108, Eleanor Douglas, 152 Fox Hill Road, Block 102, Lot 8 and 9, Zone R3, that we grant the C variance to construct a shed as outlined in the survey.
Second, Jaskowitz.
Any discussion? Nora, call the roll.
Berkowitz,
Yes.
Jaskowitz,
Yes.
Kaplan,
Yes.
Parikh,
Yes.
Prasad, Snyder,
Yes,
Willens,
Yes.
Irakim.
Yes. Result is the variance is granted. We'll memorialize this in 2 weeks, and you'll be free to proceed at that point.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much.
Enjoy.
And
But I got you beat by 3 years. I've been here 50 years, so I got you beat by a few years.
I'm looking forward to having that celebration. Take care.
Take care now. Okay, next case is Mary Pat Baumel, 7 Nokomis Avenue. This is carried from January 27th with regard to a garage apartment. Is the applicant, I believe the attorney is here also, right? I thought I saw him here.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Jason Riddy is here. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's Jason Riddy. I'm a partner with the law firm of Einhorn Barbarito in Denville, here representing Mary Pat Baumel. If you recall, we had filed an application seeking a use variance to legalize the garage apartment. We had a follow-up meeting on January 27th. Where we are at the moment is the applicant is undertaking a cure to remove the occupant that's there. She's been actively working with both the occupant and the Morris County Housing Authority to find suitable replacement housing. That's underway. An application has been submitted. All indications are the applicant, the occupant will be satisfying the criteria necessary for assistance in housing, particularly looking at maybe Baldwin Oaks. We do not have a time frame at the moment as to when he will be relocating. We're hopefully sooner than later. In light of that, though, the fact that we are undertaking a cure, we're at the point where we are going to voluntarily withdraw our application without prejudice because we're not seeking that use variance anymore. We will work with whoever we need to in the municipality to cure the summons and let them know what we're doing. But at this point, we're withdrawing our request for that use variance.
Peter, is there anything we need to do at this point?
Yeah, we should, yes, pass a motion withdrawing the matter without prejudice, and then I'll do a resolution like the 7-Eleven. So there's a record of it.
Okay, somebody move that.
Before you do that, is there any outside guess of the time this person will be relocated?
I missed the question. I'm sorry, Mr. Chadwick.
Is there any outside date that this person would be relocated?
No, we were hoping to hear back from the Morris County Housing Authority with some expected timeframes. They have not gotten back to us yet, but we will certainly keep, I think it's Mr. Rogier in the township. I'll reach out to him tomorrow and sort of let him know what we're doing in the sense of the summons. And hopefully we'll get a time frame sooner than later.
So you'd feel comfortable with not having a protection date, meaning 6 months to get this done? You feel that Mr. Rogier will be cooperative with withdrawal?
We hope so. I mean, the other option is to keep this pending until I have a conversation with Mr. Rogier. Whatever it would satisfy the municipality. We're certainly looking to be cooperative here. We're not looking to be an obstructionist And
Right.
we're not looking to do anything. So
Why don't we take that risk then? And if Mr. Ruggiero decides to give you another summons and you come back here, we'll figure it out then.
okay.
Sorry, we'll get time. Okay.
So John, are you saying we don't do a resolution at this point?
We're not gonna put a sunset out. We're gonna rely on common sense from Mr.
How
Ruggiero.
about we just say that you report back to us in 30 days with the status?
Isn't
And then
gonna
we
happen,
can
it isn't gonna, Bob, it isn't gonna happen in 30 days with the housing authority.
There's also
Things don't move
issues
that
with,
fast.
there's also issues with COVID and removing people. So there really is somewhat of a protection. And if there is a problem, I'm sure council will come back here and we should be able to talk to the zoning personnel on this issue. This is not an issue where they're trying to just keep someone in there. If you remember from the testimony, this person, I believe, is not paying. So it's not it's a profit issue that's driving this. It's just the goodness of this person's heart.
Right, and the person is elderly and has some challenges. Our intent is certainly to try to keep the municipality fully informed and work with the municipality. And as Mr. Chadwick says, if it becomes an issue and we need to refile an application, we will do so.
So if we get a motion accepting the withdrawal of the application without prejudice.
Mr. Zussman, you moving that? Somebody moving that? Did I hear your voice?
I moved it, yeah.
Mr. Ware, second? Anyone? Okay, any discussion? Nora, call the roll.
Berkowitz,
Yes.
Jaskowitz,
Yes.
Kaplan,
Yes.
Reek,
Yes.
Prasad, Snyder,
Yes.
Willens,
Yes.
Irakin.
Yes. Result is the application has been withdrawn.
Quick question. The big packet we have, which is extensive related to this case, is that something we should keep because this is going to come back, or are we going to get a whole new set of materials if this does come back?
Well, I believe it would not come back on this issue. So there would be a total new packet. Is that correct, counsel?
Yes, Mr. King, that would be the intent. We would resubmit and refile for convenience as well.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Just trying to keep the house clutter free.
Understood.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Case.
Night.
G.E. Wang, 1010 Vale Road, C variance to construct a shed, deck expansion, and patio expansion. The applicant here?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Wang, if you could raise your right hand. And repeat after me. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before the board is the truth to help you God?
I swear.
Mr. Chairman, the witness is sworn.
Mr. Chairman, Fred Miola, I'm the engineer on this project, so I'm going to be explaining what we've done. So do you want to swear me in at this point?
Fred, have you testified in this case before?
Yes. Yeah, we were here, I guess, a month or two ago.
So you're already
And
sworn
we've
in.
made substantial changes.
You're already sworn in.
Yes, okay.
Why am I getting an echo?
It's probably me. For some reason I do. I'm going to mute my.
Can't hear you, Fred.
He muted
I'm
himself.
sorry.
IT, it was him.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to stay muted until I need to say anything.
Unfortunately, I cannot find my file in my wonderful filing system here. So can someone help me out who has the file in front of them and maybe get this rolling here? I apologize, but was running a tax practice out of this room for 3 months too. So
Wasn't this the one where the water is, they put in the patio in the back? Water was running off to the neighbors. There was people opposing the application. there were pictures taken and
Yes, yes, yes.
engineer was suggested, and that's where we were, I believe. Am I right, Peter?
Yes, you're correct. This is the application that's come back probably, I think this is like the fourth or fifth time.
Right.
There was various suggestions given to the applicant. There was concern that he didn't have the financial ability to get the soil test to see if the soil could perk and different things like that.
Counselor, Mr. Milos testified that he has some additional changes to the application. I have not seen those, so.
Nor were any changes to the application received?
I only received what I sent out to everybody, the results, the report, a new, I don't know which, Fred, whatever he sent to us. I sent it out yesterday to everybody.
Okay,
Yeah.
Fred, are those?
You emailed it to everyone?
Yes.
Everyone?
Yeah.
Oh, why can't I find
You want me to
that?
give, you want me to give an overview of what we've done in the
Yeah,
last couple of months?
Please,
Okay.
please.
Okay. Okay, we went out and did a soil test. I sent a copy of it. You got a Form 3C soil permeability class rating, and then you have the triangular graph in the back. We went down 12 feet as far as the machine could reach, pulled the sample. I don't want to say it was the absolute worst I've ever seen, but it's pretty damn close to it. When you look at the information, the soil there was 61.5% clay, 39% silt, and 1% sand. It based on those results, it came out K0, which is less than
Brad, if I can jump in here for one
less than
second.
I'm
Right,
sorry,
this
what
is-
was that, Chaz?
This is, just to summarize everything, I know you're going to be recording. But the bottom line is the soil.
Chaz, wait a minute. Please mute yourself because we're getting feedback. Thank you,
Go ahead,
Chaz.
Chaz.
Go ahead, Chaz. Did we lose Chaz?
Chaz is muted.
Was it Chaz talking or was it my imagination?
How about right now? We're good?
Okay, good.
All right.
What were you going
No,
to say?
I just wanted to summarize that the bottom line is that there was a report done by Fred's office that proves that the soil has no capability of infiltration, and the revisions to the plan are that they're going to now put in a trench drain and pipe it to the front of the property where there is an existing storm drain pipe that they can tie into. It's a concept plan. It's a suitable concept from my perspective. The actual details have to be worked out with the plot plan with the municipality. So, Fred, I just wanted to jump in there because the K values and things, I did not want to labor the details with the board, but.
So if I get it right, Chaz, you agree conceptually with the plan that they are proposing, but the town engineer now has to look at it and
Yes.
okay? So how could we even vote on this or discuss it if the town engineer hasn't even seen the plan?
This is for the subdivision, and we had vested them with trying to evaluate how the drainage was. So the concept plan of picking up the drainage and piping it to the front, if there's anything that the township doesn't like about it when it gets to plot plan, then they have to come back. But the concept seems workable to me, and that's what Fred will be able to give us information on. I circulated the scan of the plan You should have gotten that in the email so you could see what they were proposing.
Yeah, we got the proposal, and so in your testimony, Chaz, you're in agreement that the proposed plan looks like it works, but the engineer hasn't agreed to it yet on the township side, right?
Yes, correct.
So back to Mr. Jakovich's statement, how can our board approve that until that's done?
It would be based, the resolution, any resolution of this would be subject to the township engineer.
Okay.
Yeah, but I gotta tell you, because this had opposition to it and it wasn't clear, I was heading in the other direction. I don't feel comfortable approving something that, what happens if the engineer says, I don't agree with it?
It would be subject to, we have to move it on from this point. With the drainage issues being important to everyone, it is something that we would approve subject to, and then they would have to work out the details with the township.
But I think what the board members are saying, even if they come up with a good concept, there may be other issues that come up that we're unaware of. If there's a concept plan for this drainage system and it's presented at a meeting, it may impact other properties at this point in time that we don't know are going to be impacted. So I understand the board members' concerns that they probably want to see the concept plan. They want to make sure the neighbors understand it.
Want the engineer to approve it.
That's correct.
And I know the case has been on over and over again, and we really wanted to clear the case, but how do we get the report yesterday? The engineer doesn't look at it, and then we're voting on it today. It's not great.
And the other thing I'd comment is, this was one issue, was the drainage to grant the approval for the amount of impervious coverage that now exists. Is that correct? So that's not being changed at all, Fred?
No, I was going to continue. What we're doing is, you have a plan. We're basically reducing, I believe it's about 1,100 square feet of the brick paver patio in the rear. We're bringing the coverage down from 57 point something percent down to 50.3%. So we're taking out a substantial portion. And if you have the drawing, it shows as like a little crosshatch area. That's all the pavement that we're taking out. So that's all getting reduced. Plus we're putting in drainage. We're taking care of the rear yard problem because the water now can go to the storm sewer that's in the street. Yes, Chaz is right. The town engineer has to sign off on it too. But, you know, I'd be shocked if we don't work anything out with them, because it makes the most sense. You know,
Fred, can I
he's been hearing
interrupt a
complaints.
second? Fred, when did the plan get filed?
I think they went in about a week ago.
I haven't seen it. And the real issue is, if it wasn't 10 days.
John, if you could repeat that. And Fred, if you could mute yourself when he's repeating it.
Let me interrupt for a minute. I'm trying to mute people that are causing background noise, and sometimes I don't get it right, so I'm sorry.
Look good, Scott.
John, you're muted. John Chadwick, you're muted. So if you could unmute and then repeat what you just said.
Okay, is my audio okay now?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
What I said was, it doesn't appear that the plan that Fred's describing was filed 10 days before. You need to put it on the screen and identify it.
Could I just add one more thing to what I was saying before? If I remember the testimony correctly, the applicant was disputing the fact that the water was actually coming from his land. The soil test actually kind of proves it probably was. So I think the burden is going to be on him to really get this right 100%. And I think we need to hear from the town engineer.
Your other issue is he paved his backyard more or less. Fred's described that they're cutting it back a little bit or some, but he's still way over. And that's the part you have to deal with. And I think if you send this over to the town engineer, I think you ought to make sure he looks at that issue.
Fred, can you help us understand with the cutbacks on the impervious coverage, what it will be now with your current plan? So let's assume the water thing is big, the engineer agrees. What's the impervious coverage of the lot?
Okay. The impervious coverage that is going to be left is 50.7%. Right now, it's at 57.3%. We're cutting back approximately 11 or 1,200 square feet of paver area. And we're also putting in the storm drain system, which has a large pipe from the trench area to the road to allow the water to back up to meet. So we're not going to be putting any additional water into the street. It's going to run at a different rate.
Okay, that's good. My other question is, Mr. Wang put in how much of this impervious coverage?
Okay.
For his business.
Okay. Okay, I'm sorry. What was that?
So when Mr. Wang did the impervious coverage addition, he paid mostly to facilitate his business equipment.
Mr. Wang would have to answer that. I don't know why it was paid. If I can get permission to share the screen, I'll try to bring my site plan up so you can see how much we're cutting back.
I understand you're cutting back, but it's still way over impervious coverage guidelines.
Mr. Maioli, you have permission to share your screen, and if you could please turn your volume down on your speakers.
You're still probably 60% over the approved.
Yes. Well, why did you do that? Or was that inherited?
We're 20% over what's allowed by code. No argument. Okay, now how do I get to my other thing?
Can I add something on this issue?
Screen one.
Hello?
Yes, sure.
Hello? Okay, when we purchase this property, it's way over the town. Okay, I understand whoever is owner, current owner will take responsibility about overage. But the simple fact is when I purchased this property on 2003, it's already have existing swimming pool and the concrete pad and the patio around it. And over the years, since 2003, I live here. The underground water table and my yard have, mud whenever it rains. So what I did is add a patio around swimming pool. Basically, this 1100% we're gonna cut it down is pretty much, a big percentage of a build on. As far as the neighbor complaint, if you see the property visually, and that property was always in the mud, and this patio was built on 2015, and the neighbor is moving 2016. And as far as some of the respectful, all the members, asking a question, I want to refresh, the last meeting, the last hearing, we were required to do a few things. One, the soil test. Second, the plan of how to resolve this, water issues. And I think I did the board asking for. So that's why we're here. And as far as, if we trim down to 30%, I guess I have to bury my swimming pool, which is, it's been there forever, since day one. So I don't know what to do. And
All right, Mr. Wong, I appreciate the fact that you did what was requested of you, but that doesn't mean that it's acceptable to what we need it to be. You took the first step in doing it, but we need to take the second step and make sure it meets the requirements that we think it needs.
I understand that. That's why I explained to you about your question.
And we need the engineer to explain to us, the town engineer, not yours.
So my understanding is your belief is the current proposal will alleviate the water issue for the neighbor who filed the complaint. Number one. Number two, the amount of impervious coverage that was there when you bought the property was excessive. Is that correct? What's your testimony is, Mr. Wang?
Yes.
Okay. And so the amount that you added of impervious coverage, as your neighbor filed the complaint, you're going to be taking most of that out again. Is that correct?
It's a big percentage of that, especially on his side. Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right.
I can unmute myself here. Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay, what I have on the screen is the site plan that we did for Mr. Wang. The drawing all the way to the left shows the existing patio, which is basically a rectangle in the rear yard from fence to fence.
Yep.
And that crosshatched or shaded area is all of the patio that we're cutting out. So we deliberately took everything around from the neighbors to try to be more sensitive to them and get away from them. And then we're putting a trench drain along the rear property line to catch any of the water that comes off our property. And it's going to be, if you go to the next drawing, which says proposed conditions, grading and drainage, you can see the trench drain, the pipe, and the pipe, we're bringing it out to Vale Road. And Mr. Wang is going to construct an inlet on top of the pipe. So we have a safe, not a safe connection, but you have a connection where the pipes come together as a T and you can get in there and clean them if you have to.
Right,
So
can you
that's
zoom
the
in a little
proposal.
bit so we can see the plans a little better?
I'm sorry, what was that,
Copies of the
Chaz?
plans.
Fred, is it possible to zoom in a little bit? Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, is that better? Okay, so that's the proposal that we could work out and try to help alleviate the problem that's out there. You know, because that also allows water from off-site to come in through our system as well. So the neighbor in the back that said they get water, some of that water can come out through the system too. The pipe we're burying is large enough to handle the additional pavement that we have on our property with the oversized pipe, with the small, I think it's a 3-inch outlet at the catch basin. Okay, I'm gonna mute myself unless you guys need a question answered. How do I mute it now?
So I don't know who's going to talk, so I've been asking questions, so I'll make a comment. I do believe that Fred and Mr. Wang have provided information and correction to what our challenges were before. And if the town engineer agrees that this current plan will alleviate the water thing, that was subject to approval, then I think I would be saying that we should move on.
With all due respect to the hard work of everybody, I'm not ready to vote on something. I think voting is putting the cart before the horse. I'd like to hear from the engineer because based on my perspective, I don't think the impervious coverage and the percentage of it I don't think we're getting it 100% right. And I'd like the engineer to just tell me that this is good, and it protects the impacted neighbors. I'm not voting for something until we hear from the engineer.
I'm going to agree with Nancy.
I don't mind that. That's fine.
I have a problem too. I'm a little confused because when you look at the application and the zoning officer's report, it shows existing coverage 38% and proposed 57%, which now they're saying is 50%. I'm a little confused as to what's really there. Are they taking away from the proposal or are they taking away from what's already on the ground?
Sounds like they're taking away from what he built after the fact when he had his water problem upon moving there. That's what it sounded like to me.
Yeah, but the report says the existing is 38%. Does that include what he built? I don't know.
No, the 30% was pre-existing.
When?
That was
It's a move to here.
that was before when he had his survey, the zoning officer used the existing survey, and then Mr. Wang did his improvements, and now he's proposing to reduce it.
All right, so on the ground now,
It went from 38 to almost 60.
but is that the way it exists now?
Yes.
Because that's not what the report says. That's my problem.
And he's reducing it by 6.6% pursuant to the May 4th, 2021 letter from his engineer.
All right, but he's reducing what's already there, not what he's
Correct.
asking for.
Correct.
All right. So basically, he's asking for us to approve what he already did, which is now 50%.
I understood what he did brought it up to 57%, and then they brought it down to 50.3%.
Right. I'm just looking at the zoning officer's report. It says existing and it says proposed. So to me, existing means what's there now. But if that's not the case,
The 38% was before he went and paved the backyard.
well, that's not what it says.
I know.
That's what I'm trying to clarify.
Okay.
That's all the more reason why we shouldn't vote on this.
Agreed.
No, the
And also,
30% was pre-existing, or like I said, there's a coverage more than that, but wasn't reported or have permit before I purchased the property in 2003.
Mr. Wang, based on your own testimony, you have testified that you addressed your water problem in a very inappropriate fashion by putting more impervious coverage out there. There are a lot of inconsistencies in the report and a lot of questions coming from the board. And it just seems like there's a significant concern about voting on this matter before the engineer factors in.
Also, I have a question if this new revised proposal affects any of the other variances that he's requesting. So do we need a new zoning report?
I would assume the answer to that is yes, based on just the trajectory and the course of history regarding this case.
Yeah. Well, that's why I raised it.
Smart man.
Where are we going, ladies and gentlemen? We're gonna carry this case until we get the township engineer to pass blessing on this?
That's what I would vote for.
I think Mr. Miola has to talk to the town engineer and get the town engineer to give us a report.
And to thoroughly examine this application and all its associated variances that are
Mr.
being
Miola,
requested.
how much time do you need, Mr. Miola? Mr. Miola? He's not there? Can anybody see him? I can't see him.
I got his layout on the screen. His survey.
Yeah. Brett, are you there? Anywhere? Can you remove the document from the screen?
Okay. Yeah, I hear what you want us to do. You know, I'd be happy to meet with the town engineer and work it out if that's what everybody wants to see happen first. And I will take my document off the screen unless anybody needs it.
We have
How do I
it.
get rid of it?
Oh, yeah, I printed it out. I got it. Are the objectors here that we have to explain anything to them?
Are there any members of the public that have any questions on this case? Nora, any hands?
How do I get rid of it?
Fred, could you mute?
Okay.
Not at the moment.
Oh,
Okay. All right, Mr.
Yes, we have a hand up. I want to interrupt because this person has been
Okay.
objecting. Art Silverman, I see your hand is up. Can you hear us?
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me?
yes.
Yes, what's your
Okay.
question?
Okay, I would like to, I'm a neighbor. I would like to bring up a number of points. I've been living here a very long time, longer than all the other neighbors.
Excuse me.
Yes.
I asked you if you have any questions on the testimony given this evening. Do you have any questions on the testimony given this evening?
Well, yes, I do have some questions. Okay. First off, can I share my screen? And I would
No.
like to,
No,
I would,
no, it's not your time to present testimony. If you have a screen that you would like to review with the applicant and Mr. Miola, you are free to do that. You're free to talk to your neighbor about your concerns, but I can't let you testify here until the applicant has completed his case. And then I ask for objectors or people in favor. So do you have any questions of these witnesses on the testimony given this evening?
yes, Mr. Miola, you've planned on putting in this underground piping. The soil is currently impervious. The piping that you put in will freeze. Other neighbors have tried that, to put in some piping to the gutter, and in all cases, the pipes have frozen and the water has backed up. Have you taken any concern to that? In addition to that, during the last thing I discussed, stormwater mitigation, there's an underground stream that lets out in your behind 1010 Vale Road and 35 Haddonfield, and those outlets to the spring have been blocked and forcing the water out onto my property. Have you taken into consideration the underground stream, since this is not just rainwater mitigation, this is stormwater? And have you also taken into consideration lowering your client's property to be the same level as everybody else's, since it was raised 6 inches to a foot higher, as Mr. Wang has testified that his property is higher than everybody else's? So please answer my questions.
Mr. Miola, you'll have to unmute
Yeah,
yourself.
yep, I just did. Thank you. Yes, I mean, first of all, the underground spring, we did the test in the left rear corner, and we went down 12 feet and we had no seepage because it was all clay. You know, we were there for about 2 hours. There was no water seeping in. Now, the way our system is designed, the water doesn't sit in there where it can freeze. It's going to run out to the storm sewer in the road. It's going to be at the same elevation of the storm sewer, which doesn't freeze. You know, the pipes are buried approximately 2 feet below the ground to the top of the pipe. You know, it's just, that's very standard for all storm sewer systems, which don't freeze because the water doesn't have a chance to freeze because it has positive drainage towards another storm sewer system.
Mr. Miola, you aware that 35 Haddonfield tried to do that on the end of the spring where it exits next to my property at 37 Haddonfield that I live, and that did not successfully work?
Yeah, and it could be, and it could be not successfully working because of the soil conditions that we ran into. You know, because that water's got to go somewhere. If you're going to let it seep into the ground with a dry well at the end of the pipe system, I tell you now, it's not going to work. You know, that's why we investigated a way of carrying the water out to a storm sewer system in a positive pitch.
Well, the spring is only active after a storm. So if you tested when there was no storm, then you would not get any rainwater. Mr. Miola, on the property drawing that you show, you're showing a shed. Are you aware that that shed impedes on the gas lines easement? And it is illegal to be there?
Okay.
Pardon me for a second, because this house is coming back in my memory. I believe that the applicant had a proposal to encroach on that easement many years ago. I don't know if this was the owner of the property at the time. Can you clarify that, Mr. Wayne? Were you the one that came for a variance with regard to the easement? Are you there, Mr. Wayne? Mr. Wang, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm
Mr.
trying
Wang,
to understand what the question is.
yeah, with the person who built that shed or was there when you bought the property. And didn't you, aren't you taking that shed down as part of this project, or did you already take it down?
It didn't happen at the same time because the old shed was very old and getting rotted, and there's you know, the small animals have become a home over there. So we replaced the shed at the same location.
Mr. Wang, I asked a question. I don't know if you heard me or you were paying attention to it. Did you come for a variance a number of years ago with regard to encroaching on the utility easement alongside your property?
What's the question?
No, that was not you.
I'm sorry, what is the question? I can't.
Do you have a utility easement that runs through your yard, your side yard?
Can't hear you. What?
Can anybody hear me?
What do you hear?
Can anybody hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I
Mr.
think
Wang, what they're asking,
his testimony alludes to the fact that he didn't put the shed there, the original shed.
okay, Mr. Wang, what they're asking you is, did you build the original shed that you said was rotted and you replaced it with a new shed in the same location?
That was come with the property when I purchased on 2003.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if there's a utility easement owned by the gas company or a private electric company, the board can't give a variance for that because those easements are written into the deed. And depending on what that easement says is what dictates, and this board cannot give a variance for that.
The way I remember it, and maybe it's not the same house, whether it was a fence or something to that effect, or something had to be done, a driveway expansion or something, it was understood that if the utility companies asked him to remove it, he would have to remove it. We did grant some, I mean, it's been quite a while, years and years ago. But that's neither here nor there. Mr. Silverman, I believe it is. Do you have any other questions of the witnesses?
No, I would just like to, I would just like to be able to speak. I've come to enough of these meetings, both in person and virtually, without having the ability to give my full testimony.
Mr. Silverman, what do you want me to do? The case is not over. I told you, when the applicant is through with his direct testimony and all the questions have been answered, all the questions of the board, questions of members of the public, you will have an opportunity to speak. And that's going to happen in due time, hopefully in our lifetime. Okay? So, are we gonna
can I ask
some
one
of us
question?
are getting older. We'd like to see this case come to a conclusion.
I know. Mr. Miola, the topography of the property, is his property been artificially raised to be considerably higher than all the neighbors' properties?
Yeah, his property is higher than the adjoining properties. Absolutely. I would say, I'm going from memory because I don't have an elevation on it, but I would say that his property was raised about 12 inches, maybe a little more. Now, the pool was there. So the area around the pool where the original patio was already elevated, and he brought everything up to the same elevation as the pool. So I don't want anybody to think that he elevated the entire property, but he did elevate areas where the patio was expanded.
But Mr. Miola, the rest of the whole backyard is raised 12 inches above all the neighbors' property in violation without a zoning permit.
How do you know that, Mr. Silverman?
I'm asking him a question.
No, you're not asking him a question. You're making a statement. Mr. Miola
Okay, I
probably
apologize.
doesn't have sufficient information to answer the question as to whether the property was illegally raised. Do you, Mr. Miola? Are you familiar with that? Mr. Miola?
Oh, I'm sorry. Was that a question to me? Because I was getting
Yes,
muted.
you have knowledge that Mr. Wang has raised his entire backyard up 12 inches.
The whole backyard is raised higher than the adjoining properties. The pool that was built there with the patio around it was elevated, and then Mr. Wang expanded it, but I don't want anybody to think the whole backyard was elevated. You know, the pool was there when Mr. Wang bought it, and there was a patio associated with it. And there's no evidence that we found that it wasn't issued a permit when it was built.
That answer your question, Mr. Silverman?
It answers a question in that it addresses, did Mr. Wang raise it, but could the predecessor of the property, the previous owner, have raised it also without the proper permitting? But okay, I'm not going to keep any more of your time. Let's go on. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Mr. Miola, how much time do you need to come back for the next?
I will try reaching out to the engineer and see if I can get as soon as I can get an appointment with them to go over it with them. You know, I would hope 30 days.
what do
You
you
know,
got?
I'll keep Nora abreast of how I'm making out with the town engineer, because, you know, I'm at his mercy too with his schedule.
Mr. Chairman, do we
And with
need
the
any
COVID, it's
extensions?
harder to get all these meetings.
Are we gonna
Nora,
need
what
any
day-
extensions?
Nora, what are you looking at in the way of a date?
Give me a moment. We are extremely booked, backed up. I mean, to put them on, I don't know.
It's not gonna be a 10-minute case, Nora.
It's not
That's
going to
very-
be a 10-minute. If it's not going to be a 10-minute case,
It's gonna be an hour. Figure you need an
okay,
hour.
then we're going to have them come back September 15th.
Okay. Mr. Wang, will you give us whatever extensions are required? And this will be carried without further notice. We'll have a motion to that effect. I know this sounds like an awful lot of way out, but we're booked solid.
Mr. Chairman, the applicant needs to verbalize that he will give all necessary extensions.
Did you hear that, Mr. Wang?
Yes, I will work diligently with my engineer and town engineer to resolve any issues.
And you'll give us extensions?
Yes,
Thank you.
Mr. Wang, you're gonna give an extension to the end of September, correct?
yes. Yeah.
Right, to the end of September.
So Nora, that means if it's not ready for September, it's gotta come back and we're gonna have to make an application if further extensions aren't given. We can't go past September.
Sounds
What
good.
date, Nora? What date? Nora, what date in September?
September 15th.
September 15th. Do we have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I believe Yom Kippur is a Jewish holiday on that day.
Oh.
What holiday is that?
Rosh Hashanah?
Yom Kippur.
Oh, it's early.
You sure about that? I worked around those holidays.
Well, that's what I'm seeing on my calendar. I'm sorry.
No, it is not. It's a Hispanic Heritage Day.
Well, whatever.
Well,
Wait,
no, there's
I'm
no
gonna
Jewish
look it up.
holiday. There's no Jewish holiday on September 15th.
Okay.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. Next case. This is 2022 Amsa Nazir, Lakeshore Drive in Lake Hiawatha on the fence. The applicant here?
Yes, hi. Good evening.
All right, Mr.
Peter,
Chairman,
Peter, can you just bring us up to date as to where we are in this case? Do you have any notes?
yeah, I do. Mr. Chairman, this was a case in which the husband appeared. He was a police officer.
No, this
He-
is,
No.
you're mixed up. You're mixed up.
No, this is not
This
the
is the
one.
fence on Lakeshore
Sorry,
Drive.
Nazar. It's Nazar, not Nazir.
I'm sorry. This, I believe, is this the one where the family member was from out of, or the friend from New York?
Yes, yes.
So how did we leave it at the last meeting? Because I can't find my file in this one. I don't know what happened.
I think she was to go back to figure out how she could remedy her fence issue, because right now it overlaps the front sidewalk.
Right.
It's all across the frontage of her property.
Right.
And now, yeah. And their neighbors that
I
are,
remember the case. I just wanted to know where we were. How did we leave it? Because I don't have my notes. You have no, anybody have notes from our last meeting? Okay.
she
What
was
are we
going
gonna do
back
about
to her
this
fence guy. That's how we left it.
The fence guy disappeared. So what are we gonna do with this fence, Mr. Nazir? Ms. Nazir?
Yes, hi.
What are we gonna do about the fence?
At our last meeting, you had asked me to reach out to some contractors, so that's what I have been doing for the last couple of months. I have gotten in contact with several contractors and have gotten a couple of estimates. Most contractors, except one, have said that they would not do any kind of repair on the fence that's currently existing due to COVID-related reason, not having enough workers or whatever it may be. It's not their own a merch that's there, so they wouldn't do any kind of repair. I have gotten estimates from about $10,650 to $13,550, and that's for a new fence 4-foot picket. That's obviously not something that I would want to go for. There is one contractor who has given me an estimate for $6,900 to cut down my current fence to a 4-foot solid fence. That's the only person who is willing to work with the material that's out there. He said that he would be able to take picket by picket and cut it to 4-foot solid. I did get in touch with one of the handyman in the town. He came up, he looked at the estimate that this J fence person gave me for $6,900, and he's willing to work with the material that I currently have to cut it to 4-foot, and he gave me an estimate for $3,000. So,
well,
yes.
Why don't you just take the fence down? Why don't you take the fence down and move it back towards the corners of your property, corners of your house? And why don't you take the existing fence and wrap it around the back so that you have some privacy and control for your son that has special needs? Because what the argument originally is that you needed this for your son, but when I drove past the property, the entire back of the house is open, so that wouldn't solve any security issues in my plan. So I don't know what to tell you. You can't stay the way it is. You're gonna have to do one of these things. So if you'd like to come back with a proposal as to which one you'd like to do, we'll entertain your request. What do you want to do? We're not the money people, okay? You made a bad decision up front in hiring somebody who screwed you over, to be honest, okay? So what plan do you want to do? What do you want to do?
My proposal is that I would like to get this cut to 4-foot and keep it where it is, as long as you can make an exception and give me permission. I could cut this to 4-foot and still the fence could stay where it is right now.
Mr. Chairman, that fence is an outright eyesore. It is incongruent to the neighborhood.
And my neighbor right across from my house has a 5-foot fence.
That's right, exactly. And that's
I
also an eyesore.
I don't know if that was approved. I don't even think that was approved by it, to be honest with you.
No, it went up afterwards.
Well, unfortunately, we can't deal with your neighbor's situation because no one is, there's no, that's not an issue in this case right now. If you want to amend your application to cut the fence down to 4 feet, yeah, I'll poll the board and see if what they're interested in. Is that what you'd like me to do?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Berkowitz, what do you think?
Well, does it have to be see-through, even if it's 4 feet?
He needs a variance if it's 4 feet solid, yeah.
Does that present a problem on the corner with oncoming traffic, even at 4 feet, sitting in the car?
Yeah, I don't
Check
think.
is open.
I don't think,
I don't think that's a site is an issue. I don't remember that being an issue. Does anybody remember?
It's
No.
Anybody have?
set, it is set back about at least 10 feet from the property line.
Mr. Chairman, the memo says adequate site distance is available. However, accident data from the police department should be obtained confirming there has not been accidents at this intersection due to site distance issues. We do recommend prohibiting any landscaping.
And that was provided at the time when that was requested. I provided the data from the police officer.
Since you were talking, Mr. Kaplan, what's your thoughts on this?
That's the last time I speak. Why can't the fence just be moved? What was the reasoning?
Doesn't want it to be moved.
Even if it was to move, I would have to pay. Nobody's willing to move it because all the columns, they are cemented, and none of the contractors are willing to move it. And I wouldn't want to move it. I have little children, so obviously, if I have the yard, I would like to keep it the way it is, as long as you can give me a variance for 4-foot solid. I would really appreciate it. I shared with you the last time my son's situation. I have an elderly mother who I take care of, an 82-year-old, wears oxygen. And yard is something that we need.
Why didn't you enclose the back of your property then also? I don't understand.
The only section that's not closed. The only area that's not closed off is right by the driveway, and that's where usually the cars are parked. The driveway is what's open. The other side has the neighbor's fence all the way around my property.
Okay. Mr. Willens, any comments?
No.
Yes or no for a 4-foot solid?
Well, I guess the code still says we cannot have a solid fence on the front yard. Is that correct? Even 4 foot?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be the variance.
Yeah, so.
Answer my question. Are you in favor or not?
I'm going to abstain for now, Mr. Chairman. I'm on the fence on this fence issue.
On the fence, on the fence. Mr.
Sorry.
Parikh? Mr. Parikh, any
Yes.
words of wisdom?
I'm okay with.
Could I interrupt 1 second? Casey, could I interrupt 1 second? Does anybody know what this existing fence is made of?
It's vinyl.
It's vinyl.
The standard vinyl fence.
Tell me how you're gonna cut a fence, vinyl fence, and make it look finished.
I have an estimate
That's not, you're not a carpenter. This is really, I can't believe that you can cut one of these vinyl fences and make it presentable.
the contractor who came in looked at my property and gave me the estimate, and he said he's able to cut it, move the top part, take out the top part, and he did tell me that he's able to make it to 4 foot.
Is it
naive to think? Like it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work because you got those individual panels, and each panel is going to have to be cut down and then rechanneled, and then you're going to have to cut your corner, your end pieces down to make it look to assimilate.
Is there a way to remove every other slat to get to the 50%?
He said it wouldn't be a possibility because the pickets are really wide, and he said they would swing. They wouldn't stay in its place. Because if it was a skinnier or a thinner picket, there was a possibility, but he said that these are too wide. You won't be able to do that. I asked that.
Mr. Parikh, you were going to say something? Casey? Casey, can you hear me? Casey?
Yes,
Can you hear
okay.
me?
Yeah. I'm okay with giving a variance for a 4-foot fence, solid 4-foot fence.
All right, I'd like to make a comment, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Mr. Prasad.
Yeah, in response to Mr. Chadwick's question, I have similar fence and I installed it myself. You can cut it. The only thing, the post you would have to cut in for the top, the whaler, if you call it, or the top cross section. For it to be lowered, and all those picket would have to be cut individually. So it can be done. It's just time consuming. So that's where the cost is. I will vote, or I will support this in view of the special needs kid, and based on the fact that it's set back 10 feet from the property line. I know that area. I drove on the street before. I don't think it's a major site issue from what I've seen. I passed there a lot, actually. Pardon me?
Yeah, you're tugging at the heartstrings because from the beginning, this case was shady and, it was just not good. And like Nancy said in the past, everybody's coming after the fact and begging for forgiveness instead of asking for permission. I hate it. I'll if you cut it down to 4 feet, reluctantly agree.
Is there any other comments by the board members?
Yeah, I will. This fence is not serving the purpose that was initially stated in this application. The back of it is open. I can feel for the special needs demands. However, the back of that fence is open. And I feel that what we're doing, if we vote for this, is setting a dangerous precedent where everybody's going to be fencing their front yards, whether it be 4 feet. And I am not confident, despite other board members' feelings, I am not confident that the mitigation efforts in bringing down this to 4 feet are going to look aesthetically pleasing in this neighborhood. It is an eyesore. And now we've got copycats doing the same thing in very close proximity to this location. I'll be voting against it, even the 4-foot variation.
Okay.
Chairman, I don't mean to interrupt, but what are your thoughts?
Well, I'm not happy with the fence. When I saw that, the first time I saw that fence right down Lakeshore Drive, I said, "Oh boy, this is a beauty." And it was like, I had telepathy, and the zoning officer came back and looked at it. I didn't report anybody, but they were there. I'm not happy. I'm not happy. This is not the spirit that we give to front yards or border fences where we permit 5 foot, 4 foot solid, and 1 foot open where such a thing pertains. So I'm not happy. Are there any members of the public that have any questions of this witness on the testimony given?
There are no questions, no hands raised.
Okay. Ms. Nazir, is there anything else you'd like to add? You're proposing at this point that your application be amended to reduce the existing 6-foot fence down to a 4-foot solid fence where it meets the front and side yard. Is that correct? Ms. Nazir, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can't hear you. Is she muted?
She's muted.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the case. Is there any members of the public that wish to speak in opposition to this application, in support of this application? Nora, any hands?
There are no hands raised.
I don't think we need to go into conference. I think we just did that. So let's go to a vote. Oh, wait a minute.
Mr. Chairman, on application, I'll make a.
You have to make a
on
resolution.
Application 20:22, Anza Nazir. No, I got the wrong one. I'm sorry.
That's correct.
Yeah, 348 Lakeshore Drive,
That's it.
Block 570, Lot 3, in the R4 zone. I move that we grant the variance for the solid fence under the condition that it be reduced to 4 feet,
As amended by the applicant.
as amended by the applicant.
There's a second to that? Anybody second it? Nobody?
Second percent.
Thank you. Any discussion? Nora, call the roll.
Berkowitz,
Yes.
Jaskowitz,
Yes.
Kaplan,
No.
Parikh,
Yes.
Prasad,
Yes.
Snyder,
No.
Willens,
Yes.
Hurricane.
No. I guess it passes.
Yep, 5,
Okay,
4.
your variance is granted. Now you gotta get the guy to come in and fix it. And, I'm gonna make sure that the zoning officer is aware of what's going on and that he's gonna maintain vigilance on your property that you get it done. Okay? Mr. Andrea?
Yes. Can I, do I have to get a permit? Do I have to let you know when it's being done, or whatever is the earliest appointment I get, should I just get this taken care of?
If you just get it taken care of, you never have to come and see us again. Okay? You're done with us. All you have to do
Mr.
is
Chairman,
do it.
in the resolution, there's going to be a requirement that it's done within 60 days.
Okay, that's very good.
Okay.
Okay?
Great.
That's
Thank
it.
you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Okay,
I don't,
application.
excuse me, Mr. Chairman, I don't want to prolong this. Pete, how many people voted in that last case?
8 people.
It was 9 because they said it was 5-4, right?
Right.
No,
But the
No.
quorum, the board's membership is 7 voting.
Passed 4-3.
Oh, 4-3, 4-3.
5
Yeah,
approved,
passed 4.
5 approved, 3 did not.
Okay, 5-3.
all right, I have to go take a pill, guys, so let's take a 2-minute break.
That's, Pete, it's not my question. Is the 5 votes that voted, one of them would be an alternate?
One was an alternate.
Maybe. So you wind up with a tie vote possibly.
So it would be 4-3.
4-3 passed.
It still passes. Okay.
Yes.
Yep. Okay. Nora, you know what we just talked about?
No, I was just going to ask you.
The alternates votes, although important.
Okay, alternate. Okay, I didn't hear what you said. Okay.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that.
I thought I was full member now.
And you are
So who's the alternates? It's Scott
Jaskowitz and Parikh.
Casey.
and Casey voted yes for it, so it's still of 4-3. It passes.
Yep.
Okay.
All righty, let's call case, 2060, Mohammed Nassar. This is carried from the last meeting. I will just announce that I did listen to the tape. And, I certified that back to Nora, and she has the paperwork. So,
And Mr. Chairman, the witness has been sworn. Mr. Nazar, you understand that you're under oath to continue to tell the truth, correct?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
was there additional material distributed on this, Nora?
That I emailed to the board.
I'm having a little problem with my email for some reason. See if I can get this back from Nora, right? When did you send those?
23rd, Friday 23rd.
Oh, Friday the 23rd,
And
okay.
also, I think the 21st of April. There were two emails.
Oh, yeah, I got it. Okay, thank you. Got it. Okay, so Mr. Nassar, do you want to tell us a little bit about this now?
Yes, sir. So I'm actually replacing the old fence that's on the property now with the newer fence. It's a vinyl fence. The old fence that's on there, it's actually falling apart. And I guess the board requested me to get pictures from the opposite side of the road of the neighbor. How it wasn't, there was no privacy into my yard. So I took pictures. I went to the neighbor, knocked on their door, and asked for permission to take pictures. And I don't know if I think Nora has the pictures. I emailed her the pictures showing that you could see right through my property from the neighbor's house.
And I remember correctly, that's that. That's not what I'm looking for. So is there just 4 pictures? Is that it?
I just took pictures of whatever that was asked for. I was asked to take pictures from the neighbor's property, showing that you could see through my property.
Mr. Chairman, the original 4 pictures were a part of the original submission. And then we asked him to give us the view because he was testifying that he didn't have any privacy because the neighbors from across the street could look right into his yard.
It was an elevation situation.
Yeah. So now,
Sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So the 2 photos you recently forwarded with showing the wooden fence kind of leaning down and not good repair. There's like a 2-wagon or a 2-wheel wagon behind that. That photo was taken from your neighbor's front porch. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then the second photo you show us, kind of looking into your backyard. You just held the camera up near your fence and shot that picture in there, or where was that shot from?
Yeah, that was shot from actually the sidewalk. If you were standing on the sidewalk behind the fence, you can actually see right through it. I'm actually a big guy. I'm 6'5", so I mean it's easier for me to see through the yard. So I'm guessing that's it's a lot easier for me, but I don't know if for someone shorter than me will be able to see or not. But I was just the point that I was just to put across that you can actually see right through the property if you were walking down on Alloway.
But the point being is you kind of had to hold the camera. That fence that you have there is what current elevation? How high is the current fence?
I believe it's I want to say it's 5 foot.
Okay, and so even that problem won't be alleviated for you on this case anyway. But go ahead.
Mr. Nassar, I know in listening to the tape, I believe Mr. Kaplan talked about you putting some vegetation on the outside of the fence. Would you be willing to dress up the exterior portion of the fence with maybe some nice full form grasses or some smaller evergreens or something you just heard what we went through with this other case. Okay?
Yeah,
we are not advocates of 6-foot solid fences. All right,
I did hear it, and you know what, I'm open to putting some landscaping in the area in front and on the opposite side, like an evergreen or some flowers and things like that. I'm willing to do so. I mean, if it's gonna make I'm doing it to make the property look nice and neat and clean and update the area. So that's all I'm really trying to do.
Not to be nitpicky, but one evergreen and some flowers ain't gonna do it.
We're going to have a series of plantings that will grow at least 6 feet high so that the fence is somewhat blocked. And you can meet with the town forester, and he will advise you as to what you need, what could be planted there. Because you're investing a lot of money in your house, and to make it look that much better to the outside world, I think it's important.
So would it be okay if I could take steps by steps to do this, just because I don't know if you're gonna, I've looked into the evergreens and they're very, very costly. So for me to put the evergreen or more landscaping, it will cost me a lot of money. So if it's okay with the board, if I could take steps by planting some landscaping throughout the time.
I mean, but throughout the time, 3 weeks,
I mean,
2 months, 6 months?
I mean, for, throughout the summertime, at least I can be able to, I can't afford to, to put 15 or 20 evergreens, because each tree is like almost $100 or $120. So if it's okay with the board, if I can at least do it steps by steps.
Are we allowed to put a contingency, with a time frame on it? That seems tough to enforce.
We give them 6 months to do the landscaping.
I think that's fair.
I don't think that's unfair, and I don't think you need to spend $120 in shrub either.
How much they cost? That's how much the evergreen costs. If I was to put an evergreen, I mean, if I look,
first of all, your side yard, you have such little amount of space on your side yard. You're not going to be able to put anything big along there. I think Mr. Kaplan mentioned grasses the last time. I think grasses would look nice along that where you in the one picture you only have a few feet. But if you're willing to work with us and work with the township forester, then I think maybe we can come to some middle of the road.
Yeah,
I'm not happy with a 6-foot fence. I can tell you that.
Yeah, I'm totally okay with that. Absolutely.
Any other issues that we have to deal with here? Anybody? Peter, Nora, is there anything open?
No, and it's a solid 6-foot fence, Mr. Chairman.
Because he's already bought it.
Yes, sir. It's a solid 6-foot fence, vinyl, white vinyl.
Can we cut off the top?
Nah, I'm not cutting it off. Not cutting it off.
Oh my God.
Yeah, let's see how that looks at the end of the day.
Oh no. That's gonna be definitely an eyesore.
Where were you on the last call?
One was just voted on.
Oh no, I don't want to get involved.
Okay, are there any members of the public that have any questions of this witness and the testimony given?
There are no hands raised.
Okay, we're okay with the, okay, so that's it. So, are there any members of the public that wish to speak in opposition to this application, in support of this application? I hear none and see none.
No.
Nora Sosme, I hear none and see none. Nora, nobody? Okay.
No one.
Someone like to make a recommendation?
Yeah, I'll be voting for it, with him agreeing that we need the vegetation, and he'll be in contact with the forester to do the right thing within the 6-month time span.
Somebody frame a resolution so we can move on. We got one more case, guys. Let's hopefully get through it.
All right, application 20:60.
Thank you.
Mohammed Nassar, 199 Camden Road, block 217, lot 2, zone R4. Recommend granting a C variance to construct and install a shed and 6-foot high solid fence contrary to section 430-11 A and B, 430-35, column 4 and 13, with the agreement of talking to the town forester and coming to an agreement of the proper vegetation to be planted within the 6 months of the today's date.
Second percent.
Let's just make that 6 months from the date of the resolution is approved, okay? Which will be 2 weeks from now.
So be it.
Any discussion? Nora, call the roll.
Berkowitz,
Yes.
Jaskowitz,
Yes.
Kaplan,
Yeah, with all due respect to the applicant, I'm not going to vote in favor of this.
Parikh,
Yes.
Prasad,
Yes.
Say we're playing.
Snyder,
No.
Okay, yeah, sorry.
Willens,
Yes.
Hurricane.
Yes. Okay, not happy with it, but we're gonna try and make it look as better, as good, best as we can. Next case,
So I'm okay to proceed?
yes.
Yes.
Well, as soon as you get your resolution in 2 weeks. Okay, application 2045, 130 Troy Road. This is a bifurcated application to construct townhomes on Troy Road. I think I saw Mr. O'Neill. Mr. O'Neill, how are you this evening?
I'm very well. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, everyone. Joseph O'Neill on behalf of the applicant. This is a continuing application for a use variance in relation to this development of 5 townhomes where 1 home is currently existing. We did submit some revised plans. I'd like to go right to Mr. Miola, given the time to describe those changes to the plans. Mr. Miola.
Was he previously sworn on this application?
Yes, he was, Mr. King.
Okay, so we don't need to swear him again, Mr. Chairman?
No.
Mr. Miola.
Yep. Okay, can I get to share screen? I'll put my. Okay. 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 This is the site plan. Based on the last meeting, we went back to the drawing boards. We changed the configuration in the front, came in with a one-way driveway on the right, eliminated some of the parking spots, but we still comply with the code. I believe we have 2 extras. We need 12 and we're giving 14. And a one-way driveway coming out. It also allowed us to have an area in the front to do landscaping. So we got shrubs and trees, landscaping it, being sensitive to the fact that at the corner, I got to be careful of sight distances. So we have bushes which are lower growing than the trees in the middle. So
Mr.
that's
Miola,
what the site plan was. I was also asked about the adjoining homes. So I gave the board an exhibit showing the townhouses again. We got a survey from the town for the home to the left of us. That home is 3.4 feet off the property line. The home to the right of us, number 144, is 22 feet off the property line. So you can see where the 2 adjoining homes are in relation to our project. And that was the major changes that were done to the project.
Mr. Miola, could you go back to that prior drawing and show the board where the wetlands buffer is in relation to the proposed decks on the property?
I'm sorry, what did you want me to show on this one?
Wetlands buffer.
Oh, the wetlands buffer is this dashed line just behind the wider portion of our lot, for lack of a way of describing it. All the wetlands is in the northeast end of our property. There's a piece of property that goes back and then wraps behind the 2 houses to the southeast of us. There's a big chunk of wetlands in that area. That whole rear area is basically wetlands, and then 50-foot buffers overlap property lines.
Now, going back to the changes in the driveway, you've analyzed whether or not vehicles can make those turns and park and do all that safely in those parking spaces. You can scroll
Yes, they
back down
can.
for us.
Yeah, there's still ample room to, whoops.
Mr.
So a quick question, a school bus, I assume a school bus would stay on the street and pick the kids up right in
I
front?
would, yeah, I would think that they would pick the children up from the front.
And what,
You know, I
what
wouldn't
about a fire
visualize the
truck?
school. There's enough room for a fire truck to maneuver. With the driveways. Okay. Okay.
Thank
good.
you. Thank you.
Okay. The driveway at the front is 15 feet, which is more than wide enough for a single driveway. That's a half of a street width. And then as you come in behind it, the aisle is 25 feet wide. So there's ample room to maneuver around there with a fire truck. And I would also think that many times the fire truck is going to probably fight the fire from the street, because you wouldn't want to bring the fire truck right up against the house that's burning. You want to stay a little bit away from it and use the hose. But there is ample room if they had to go in there and maneuver around, or if an emergency vehicle had to get in there and maneuver around.
And you've made no significant changes or no changes to the stormwater proposed?
No, it's still got an underground detention system to handle. Okay. No, it's me. I'm doing the wrong thing. Okay. We still have a catch basin in the parking lot. We have the infiltration system in the parking lot to reduce the runoff with a pipe that leads to the rear. And then just before we get to the wetlands buffer, we have a riprap apron to allow the water to dissipate into the wetlands that's to the northeast of us, or northeast end of our property, I should say.
Thank you. I have no further questions for this witness.
I just want to jump in here if I can for a second. So the application would still require the formal plat plan or site plan submission.
That's right. This is a bifurcated application.
Thank you. If I may, guys, Fred, can you discuss the location of the overflow? I just wasn't sure if there was a case of possible ponding or not, from what I could see. So if you could just give me a few details on the overflow.
You're muted, Fred.
Oh, it's up on top. I keep forgetting it's up on top. Okay. Yeah, I mean, the overflow comes from the underground detention alongside the building, and then dissipates in the rear yard about 20 feet behind the building, where the pipe dumps onto the ground, and then we have a riprap apron to allow the water to sheet flow into the wetlands area to the rear of us.
Okay, that explains a little bit more for me. Thank you.
Okay.
Can you go over the parking again?
I'm sorry, did you want to know about the parking?
In the front, yeah.
Yeah. I'm being heard right now. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. There's, as you come in the driveway, there's 3 parking spots on the right-hand side. Then you turn, and then each unit has a garage for 1 car and a spot for 1 car in the driveway. So that's 10, so we're up to 13. And then at the other end of the driveway, before you turn out, we have the handicap spot. So that's 14. And then adjacent to the handicap spot is our trash and recycling area. So that's the parking configuration.
Would it be unreasonable to assume that more than one unit is going to have more than one guest that does not reside in these units at the same time? And where does that happen? Where do they go and park?
This meets the RSIS standards for parking for units. You know, and I had more parking. We asked for more landscaping, so we took the parking out and put landscaping in. You know, and on the RSIA standards are pretty accurate. Over the years, I've been following them, and, you know, when they put the parking configuration of 1.2 or per unit, there's ample parking.
And how many bedrooms to these units again?
These are 3-bedroom units.
Fred, what is the dimension from the garage door to the driveway? The amount of space in front of the garage door?
Yeah, I believe it's 20 feet, Chaz.
Fred, the RSIS for a 3-bedroom unit is not 2. It's 2.3.
Yes, I think Mr. Miola
Right.
said 1 point, but it's 2.3.
Yeah. 2.3 for 5 units equates to 11.5, and we have 14.
I'm just getting corrected. It's not 2.
Yeah.
It's 2.3.
No, thank you.
The architecture that was put up for this application in the prior meeting, that all remains the same?
Yeah, okay, I'm sorry, just to back up to answer Chaz's question. From the front of the garage to the curb line is approximately 21 feet, 20 to 21 feet I'm scaling. Somewhere in that range, 20, maybe 20 and a half when we calculate it out, when we go to a site plan. It'll be at least 20 feet.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chadwick had commented on affordable housing allocation. Has that been addressed?
No, I'll direct the board's attention to section 430, 436, D7 of the local ordinances about the affordable housing obligations for the site. Since there's 1 unit existing on site now and we're adding 4 more, it is actually exempt from providing a affordable housing unit under that section.
It's not a long section, Joe. Why don't you read it into the record?
Sure, I'll do that. Just give me just 2 seconds to pull it up. Reading from section 430, 436 B7 reads in full. Furthermore, this requirement shall not apply to residential expansions, additions, renovations, replacements, or any other type of residential development that does not result in a net increase in the number of dwelling units by 5 or more. That's what the code section says. That's right in the newly adopted affordable housing set-aside requirements, right at the end of the zoning code. So given that provision, with this site being 5 proposed units, 1 existing, that's only 4, so there would be no need to provide the affordable housing unit.
Joe, is this going to be
that is online?
Is this going to be an association?
Yes, it is. It's going to be a condo association, just 1 lot.
Any other questions by the board? Any members of the public have any questions of this witness on testimony he has given this evening? Nor any hands?
There are no hands raised.
I'll call your next witness, Mr. O'Neill.
I'd like to call Mr. Mystery to the proceeding.
Joe, was Mr. Mystery previously sworn? And I believe your engineer has to give up the screen.
Yes, Mr. Mystery was. You were previously sworn, weren't you, before you guys? I think you're muted. Still can't hear you.
Does he hear us?
I think he has to enable his mic. Nothing is hit that button back. Whatever you hit it back, Mr. Mystery. Now you have to unmute. Now you should be able to talk. Please speak. Nope. Still can't hear you.
Can't hear us. Looks like he's in limbo.
Maybe Earl can help him.
I'm afraid he cannot.
Then no one can if Earl can.
You have to hold up a sign.
Maybe Mr. O'Neill has to give him a call.
Yeah. Maybe Fred Miola can help him out. He's figured it out.
Yes, the call will be good.
The call would be good, okay. Hold on. I'll just need a minute. I don't think I have Mr. Mystery's phone number.
It's a mystery, right, Joe?
Yeah, it is. Yogesh, can you call me in my office? Just give me 1 minute, please. Sorry.
We have 20 minutes, Joe.
He doesn't hear us.
I can hear you.
Hold up a sign.
Can you reach him by phone?
I'm going to try. I just got your phone number, Yogesh. Hold on 1 second.
Actually, we have 19 minutes now.
18. What's in that bottle?
Okay. Mr. Mystery?
Yes.
Can the board hear Mr. Mystery?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So here we are. Little workaround. Mr. Mystery, you prepared a rendering for the changes to the site, didn't you?
Yes. Can you allow me to share my screen? It's not letting me share this.
1 second.
Can we get him to share screen?
It's grayed out on my, it won't let me share.
Just 1 second.
Might be a connection problem.
Oh, there it is.
Good to go.
Okay. Can everyone hear me?
Yep.
So what I'm presenting on the screen right now is an updated rendering of.
Should we mark this?
The front of the building. The building has not changed, but the landscape was adjusted to accommodate the site changes, showing the island as well as the kind of U-shaped driveway along the front.
We're going to
Joe,
need to
should
mark
we
this,
mark
Yogesh. What's our next number, Mr. King? Well, we'll mark it as A7 for this evening. That should be far enough along. This was prepared by you, Mr. Mystery?
Yeah, this is the same rendering we had presented last time. There were no changes to the building. We just adjusted the sort of the foreground of this rendering to show the revised layout of the site. And now you can see there's less blacktop, more sort of landscape green area.
And this is an accurate representation of the plantings that we're going to be proposing as part of the site plan, isn't that correct?
Yes.
I have no further questions for this witness.
Any questions by the board?
I have one. The trash and recycling area would be roughly behind the red maple you have in the background.
Yes, it would be right behind this the tree to the left.
What type of shielding do you think would be appropriate?
I believe Fred had shown, let me see his drawing, but I believe he had shown a wood enclosure there.
Yeah, Mr. Miola had proposed a wooden enclosure. I think that's on his detail.
I did review that, and because it's got a fairly prominent location in this proposed development, I would think we could come up with something more imaginative.
Well, given the size of the development,
I think it's a site plan issue. It's not the basic issue the board has to address.
Yeah, we could probably during site plan address that with cans for each unit.
That's my suggestion. The landscaping also is, let's call it conceptual. Again, that would be a site plan issue. Mr. Mystery, do you have a rear elevation on this proposal?
The rear elevation is shown in the drawings that were submitted, but it's not in the rendering. We don't have a rendering of the rear, but it would be similar in color and type.
Could you pull that detail up for us, Mr. Mystery?
Yes, I could. I don't know. Can you see this on my screen?
We can still see the rendering.
1 second. I had to stop sharing here.
Oh,
Almost had it. Almost had it.
All right, there.
There it is.
Yeah, so this was the front on top. Referring to sheet 84.01 of the architectural drawings that were submitted as part of this application. And then the rear elevation shows the 5 units in the back. They're each have a small deck along the back with a sliding door that enters onto the deck.
This is what we've proposed from the beginning, correct?
Yes, that hasn't changed. I think this faces the back of the hotel and sort of Pet Boys, I think.
Would these
146.
be able to see the hotel when leaves are on the trees?
Not sure there.
It's pretty heavily wooded, Mr. Chadwick.
I know that. I mean, one of your arguments was you backed up to commercial development and the back property section of this property is all wetlands. Planner may have a little more when you get to them.
Mr. McDonough could probably address that next.
I'm sorry?
Mr. McDonough could probably address that next.
I'm sure he can. The rear of this property, the reason I asked for the rear elevations is to ask the question of separation or some privacy to the rear. Is there some architectural treatment that could be done?
Separation between the building and the rear property, you're saying?
Separation one unit to the other.
Yeah, right now there's nothing except that they do have their own deck that has a railing on it, and that kind of gives a little bit of privacy, but we don't have a physical wall that separates between the units. I mean, that's something we can consider.
Architecturally, could it be done?
It would be more of like a freestanding wall, just teeing off the building versus, I'm not sure we can jog the whole building in the back just because of the constraints of the site.
You see townhouses and their solution to the privacy issue, one unit to the next was a 6-foot high vinyl fence, which
Does seem to be a knife for it.
is I think the an unimaginary way of dealing with the issue, but
Are you referencing?
you think there can be something done to create some separation of one unit to the other? Yes?
We could probably add something there. There is a condenser back there as well. You can see that's between the units. So it's a little bit of a limited space, so we want to make sure we can service that condenser as well.
Are you saying?
I think if it was more of like if you took the one railing of the deck and made it taller, so maybe like a 6-foot high screen or something like that, like a lattice type.
That's something we could address during the site plan, Mr. Chadwick, maybe with some plannings.
I just want to know if you can address it, and the answer to your question is yes. The question, Mr. Mystery, is can you do it? And I think he's said, I think so.
The answer is yes, right, you guys?
Yes. Yes.
All right.
I have no other questions, Mr. Chairman.
I have no further questions for Mr. Mystery.
Bob, you're on mute.
Thank you, sorry about that. Any other questions by members of the board? Any other board members have questions? Any members of the public have questions? Nora, can you see if you have any hands raised?
No raised hands.
Okay, want to call your next witness, Mr. O'Neill? Who you got left?
Mr. McDonough.
Hi, everyone.
Hello, John.
Mr. McDonough, have you provided testimony in this application?
Yes, I already have, in full, yeah.
All right, so you're still sworn and all your licenses are in full force and effect.
That's correct.
So I have a question for you, Mr. McDonough.
Sure thing.
We had a discussion about decks in the rear of these properties. And it's your opinion that these decks do not need variances, right?
That's correct. They will conform to the ordinance, and certainly we can adequately screen them when we get to site plan.
That's based on your reading of the local ordinance requirements for setbacks for decks.
That's correct.
I have no further questions for Mr. McDonough.
Any questions?
One other question. I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. One other question. Screening to the commercial properties in the rear provided by the woodlands in the wetlands, John. Do you have something you can pull up again on that? An aerial?
I don't have an aerial handy right now, Joe. When you talk about screening to the wetlands in the rear?
Yes.
Yes, again, that's something we can certainly work out as part of site plan, but as part of our report, it's pretty clear that there's a natural buffer in the back, which is going to be kept intact as part of the application.
All right. Could you pull up the existing conditions photo? Do you have the ability to do that?
I don't have my photos available, Joe, sorry.
All right. Then I have no further questions.
Joe,
You
can I
do.
interrupt 1 second?
You do.
Sure.
Joe, can I interrupt 1 second?
Please.
Back of where you had that line of landscaping, there's a transition area, but it's not all transition area. Any buffer averaging that you can do, John, to increase the rear yard areas that you're showing?
There's certainly flexibility in the wetland regulations to play around with the buffer in the back. Absolutely. Again, that's something we can work out as part of site.
Okay. So the board, when you looked at that, the bird's eye on this, the rear yard that they're showing is, but they have land behind that's constrained with transition. I think we can adjust that transition boundary to provide much more backyard area.
Any other questions by the board? Any members of the public have any questions? Or any hands?
There are no hands raised.
Any other witnesses, Mr. O'Neill?
No, that concludes our direct testimony.
Any members of the public who wish to speak in opposition to this application? In support of this application? And the answer is no.
No hands.
No hands raised. Do I have a motion to go into conference? Motion to go into conference?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No? Anybody want to start the conference? Someone want to jump right in with both feet?
Sure, I will. The project's very lovely looking. I agree that this area could use a little bit of a pick-me-up. However, I think this development's too compact, too intense. I'd be more in favor of it if it was 3 units instead of 5 units. And I just think that, we should not embrace what I seem to call small-scale sprawl. This is just too too dense and too intensified use of this particular property. I'll be voting against it.
So, I'm going to be voting for it. I know the area well. I drive through that street every day, twice a day. The whole street should be done. Like I said before, I know people on Patricia Court and they're real happy with the project, knowing that what's there is going to be torn down. And although it's a little compact, I think there's a demand for it. I think between the temple that's coming up, which will create even more demand, and just the general demand in the area, that as soon as something comes up for sale, it gets sold. I think it's serving the need of the community, and I'll be voting for it.
Who's next? Come on, somebody go. Let's get moving.
All right, I'll go.
Hey, Bernie, go ahead.
I have a problem with, for lack of a better word, dumping townhouses in the middle of a single-family neighborhood. I also have a problem with what Nancy said. I think it's a little too intense. There's no backyard, there's no privacy. I mean, if I'm going to buy something or live somewhere, I want to be able to have maybe a little bit of a backyard, especially in that form of a building. So generally speaking, I'm going to be voting against it.
Who's next?
I'll go, Mr. Chairman. I think it's a
Thank you,
good
Mr.
project. Parsippany could do with more of these. It will help the neighborhood, and I will be supporting it.
Thank you. Who am I missing? Mr. Kaplan?
I agree with Mr. Berkowitz and Ms. Snyder with the reasons they stated. I just think we are in. I don't want to continue to cram high intensity use into small spaces, as is the trend of late.
Thank you. Mr. Parikh?
I am in favor of this. There's demand for this kind of development. I'm also very familiar with this area, and I think this area can use townhouses. And I think in the future, probably we will see more townhouses on this road. And the applicant has done a good job in the front with the landscaping and turn for the entrance and entry. I'll be in favor of it.
Who am I missing? Anybody?
Yeah, I haven't spoke yet, and I believe, been quiet tonight, Mr. Chairman. I believe the applicant has complied with a number of our requests and made modifications that have meet with our approval. I do share, however, the concern of the density of the project, but that's going to be coming up to the developer to have to rent it and spill it. And the people that live near there that are in favor of it and support it, sway me to be in favor of it.
Am I allowed to ask a question at this point, or we're just giving our opinions and that's it?
Well, let me finish and then you can ask your question, Dave.
The question was just for Mr. Wellens, but
Go ahead. Go right ahead. Go ahead then. Go ahead.
yeah, Dave, you said that the people in the neighborhood are in support of this. How do we know that?
Well, we've had two people on our panel here that's testified, three that they are very familiar with the area and think it's a good thing. So that's what I was basically.
Yeah, that's their opinion. It's not the residents. I just want to make sure I didn't miss something. The residents didn't testify that they approve of this.
No, but we haven't had any objectives either.
I get it. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, okay.
Well, we've been faced with a number of multifamily type units, and a lot of it's been driven for approval because of the affordable housing component. This has no affordable housing component. It's 6 townhouses in an area that doesn't have townhouses, 3 bedrooms, potential to get a lot of kids. I don't think it's a kid-friendly neighborhood. A main road. I'm not in favor of it. I don't think we should agree to it because there's no benefit to the town. And I don't see a hardship for a variance. Motion to come out of conference?
So moved.
Second.
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 Mr. Chairman,
The
if
way
I may,
Yes, sir.
given the comments of the board, we'd like the opportunity to adjourn this matter this evening and rework the application.
Nora, take a poll on what we should do that or not.
Berkowitz?
What are you asking me?
To allow us to
Should we
rework
carry
the
the case for them to come back with another edition of
So
it?
could I ask a question? Is Mr. O'Neill suggesting the applicant might want to downsize the number of units?
That's what I'm
I don't think-
suggesting.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if that's what he's suggesting, then okay, fine.
Mr. Berkowitz, you want to do it? Okay.
I'm always in favor of applicants having the right to present as much as they want. So
Okay.
I would be okay with it.
Is anybody opposed to what Mr. Berkowitz just said? No.
Nope.
When can we bring them back, Nora? What time in 2022 can we bring them back?
Let's put them on September 29th.
With all needed extensions?
We'll grant
O'Neill,
all
just
extensions
disconnect?
through the end of September.
Okay. Motion to carry this case to September 29th without further notice and whatever extensions are required. Motion by
So moved, Snyder.
somebody? Okay,
So moved.
Snyder, second. Second by Mr. Berkowitz. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay. Any other business, Nora?
Let it carry.
No.
Thank you, everyone.
Quick question, what was the date of the carry from the first hearing tonight?
September
September 15th.
September 15th.
15, thank you.
Okay, everyone, have a nice Mother's Day to whatever mothers we have in the
Do we discuss live meetings yet?
Oh, I'd love to. Can we do them?
We are, Bob, you want to share the news?
Well, when is the council meeting, Nora?
I believe in 2 weeks from yesterday is the next council meeting. Council will be holding their meetings at the PAL. We have a chance to go back live or not and have it in council chambers or at the PAL. Bob and I talked today. We are going to go with town hall council chambers, beginning with our first June meeting, and anything large, we'll take it over to the PAL.
I'm a little fearful that the PAL is not going to have an adequate sound system. We've had this problem before when we go to the high schools, and I'm planning on going to the council meeting and just getting an idea of how it works there. We're obviously going to need that facility when the St. Christopher's application comes through, because we're never going to be able to hold that in the council chambers. But we're going to have to limit it to how many people? 36 people in the council chambers?
I thought they said 26. We still have to social distance, and we'll work it the way we did before. We shut it back. We shut it down.
So we know St. Chris is going to be a big one. Can we table that till we can get to PAL? I know that
we can get to PAL tomorrow if we want, as long as the date's available. The question is, will it be workable?
Right. No, I agree with you. I think it's worth going and hearing what a meeting sounds like and looks like over there. I've been reading a lot that there's a lot of concern that the St. Chris meeting requires a lot of people who aren't fluent with this application, and there's obviously high level of interest and they don't want to miss anything. So I was wondering if we could just hold off on that one until we could get in person.
The problem with that one is we will not hear it until September or October. I don't think they want to wait that long. They've already noticed for the next meeting, and we'll do that one virtual, but we'll carry it and to the in-person meeting.
Okay.
We can't just postpone cases.
Yeah, no, I get it. I
So
just felt that
we
it was
got-
worth just bringing
yeah.
up.
Got somewhat stick to a schedule. Anyway, any other business, any other questions, any other comments?
So our first in person is going to be in June.
Our first June meeting, yes, that's
Okay.
June 9th.
I'm excited about that. I hope other people are too.
Nice to
Yeah,
see
it'd be
you
good to
again.
see everybody.
I will miss the very short commute to my basement, though.
We will have to convene at a local establishment to celebrate the holiday times we didn't celebrate.
The best part of this is the ride home.
Amen.
The best part of this, I have a glass of wine while I'm here.
Oh, no. Oh, God. I wish you hadn't said that.
It's okay. He's not old enough to drink. It's fine. He was just kidding.
I was
You
just
know how
kidding.
often I wanted to have a cocktail.
This was all water.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
All right, guys, motion to adjourn.
Motion.
So moved.
All in
Good
favor?
night.
Aye.
Good night, all.
Everyone. Take
Good night.
care. Stay healthy. Stay well.
Good night, all.